All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 436 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's Matt and KB coming at you from Underground Studios. The Phils are hot. We're going to dive into all that and a whole lot more. Plus, Survivor might be over, but we got a few Survivor contestants competing in the I don't know if it's the first or the latest season of TheChallenge USA coming to CBS this summer. So we'll talk about that and figure out which one we think is going to potentially succeed at the challenge. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at UndergroundPHI on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Stephen McAvoy just posted a blog about the new Live Golf Tour, whatever it may be, which is basically like the equivalent of what that Super League for soccer was going to be like. So go check that out if you're interested in kind of getting a crash course on all that. And, of course, subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Hit the like button, click the bell icon, and comment down below with how you're feeling about the Phillies, all that good stuff. But make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel for full video episodes of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. Tomahawk Shades, summertime is here. Head over to tomahawkshades.com. Get your favorite styles of sunglasses, your blue light plus glasses, and everything in between at tomahawkshades.com. And use our code USP for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. Kenwood Beer, all new and improved cans now available. Kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. What's going on, Matt?
Living the dream, you know.
As are the Phillies, as Joe Girardi is no longer here since the last time you and I recorded an episode. Joe Girardi fired, and it seems like that's what the Phillies exactly just what they needed.
Shades of that Charlie Manuel appointment a few years ago. Shocking firing, I should say, too. Did not see that coming.
No.
It really felt like his contract was ending this offseason, that no matter what, they were just going to ride him out. But I can say this. It's a show of ambition from the Phillies, which is good. Like, that's what you want to see your teams doing. This team is clearly languishing, and there's really not anything in Girardi's tenure that pointed to, like, some tangible hint of success looming. It seemed like this team has sort of run its course with him. They made tons of additions, and, you know, they can't say that they didn't spend at least a significant chunk of money again this offseason, maybe in not the best areas, but he has a good roster to work with, and this team is definitely underperforming where they were, and now we're just living in Rob Thomson's world, and that's a fantastic. I thought it was hilarious that he gets fired and we play the Angels. We have Joe Madden, who's like a similar type of character as Girardi, right? And like that series, like the Angels and the Phillies have like a kindred spirit in a way, in that like both of them have kind of had the same issues pretty much forever. Mm-hmm. You know, in that like the Angels, especially recently, have spent the money. They've got the guys, and it just for whatever reason hasn't worked out. It does remind me a lot of the Phillies. So I did think it was hilarious that is who our like bounce back series is against, and we like punish them with their like 11 straight losses, and Mike Trout doesn't get a hit in his homecoming series.
Crazy.
Which was crazy for sure. But there's only one other team I think we could have had a chaos series like that against, and it was the Angels.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I forget if we brought this up going into the weekend, but going into that series against the Angels, the Phillies all time were 1-12 against the Angels, and their only win was the first time the two teams had ever played, which was June 9th, 2003. Every other time the Phillies had lost, and then you go in, you get that first win, the first win at Citizens Bank Park against the Angels, and then you sweep them to kind of catapult into what has been the Rob Thomson era. And who knew? Playing the young guys actually works. Bryson Stott has now hit 2 home runs in, a weekend span. Matt Vierling hits a game-winning home run last night against the Brewers.
Did you see what Ruben Amaro said? I mean, he's like, "Is that one of the best home runs of your career?" He's like, "Well, I only have 3, so yeah."
Well, there's I don't know what company it is, so no free ads, but Matt Vierling is in like a car commercial or something. He's like, I know a thing or two about game-winning hits. So everyone was tweeting that last night, which was great.
That's fucking hilarious.
Alec Boehm last night snaps his hitless streak with a tying home run. And
Also, shouldn't be overstated that we did this against a reliever who has not given up a regular season hit since last year in July. The Phillies are so stupid. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I did see a tweet.
We went against the Mariano Rivera of the regular season.
Yeah.
And we're like,
No
the
big.
guy who can't hit power in Alec Boehm and Matt Vierling, who is like very obviously the platoon guy of this team. Destroy this man.
Absolutely absurd. I did see a tweet from the good pal at Panasonic DX4500 on the Twitter machine last night. Once I believe Boehm hit the home run off of Hader. He quote tweeted NBC Sports Philadelphia's tweet. It said, "The Phillies are committing violence against the white power guy. They really are a changed team."
Yeah. Everyone's kind of forgotten that about him too.
Yeah.
Which is lucky for him, I guess. But I think nothing more perfectly encapsulates what the Phillies have been in recent history than firing your manager, sweeping a good Angels team. Now, they'd been struggling coming into that series, but still, it's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And then ripping off a stupid win against
That's a game they lose with Girardi at the helm.
I think they probably lose 3 out of the last 4 with Girardi still. And listen, some of it is just like some variance. I think some things went their way in the Angels series that hadn't been going for them so much this season. And this has been a team that has not been like opportunistic in ways. Like they just have not seized the chance at times. And you will see how the rest of this Brewers series go. But we've talked about too, like they've had a hard ass schedule.
Yeah.
And they've obviously like put themselves in a bit of a tough situation, in this part of the season as you roll into June now. But the schedule does lighten up a little bit, especially if you look at like the second half of the season. Like, yeah, they've put themselves in a bad spot, but like this is what the Phillies do.
Yes.
Is they reel you back in. You have this like awesome weekend. Great comeback, Bryce Harper grand slam, walk-off home runs, walk-off, like everything. And you're going to like convince yourself now that like Thomson's the guy. This is the story now.
He's the NL manager of the year.
Right. Which, I mean, listen, when the Phillies win a World Series, he will be. But I know that in 2 weeks.
We'll lose 4 out of 5 to the Nationals.
I know in 2 weeks we're going to be so frustrated with this team. And that's what sucks, is you can't actually enjoy the moment with this team. You enjoy it for like the hour after the game. You can watch the replay as much as you want of the home runs and the grand slams, but there's like the deep within me, not even deep within me, on the surface, I know this team in 2 weeks is going to be deeply frustrating at. It was literally last week.
Yeah.
Last week, there's nothing good to be said about this baseball team. So
it was insane. Obviously, Friday night, I had gone to the game with DJ, with him in town, first time at Citizens Bank Park, and I said, if I would have known Girardi would have gotten fired and the offense would have come to life with you here, I would have flown you out in March. I mean, talking about things not going their way, like the bats are starting to come alive, and like we've said it time and time again, especially this year more so than 2021 or 2020 or even 2019, like the run differential kind of spoke for what type of team this Phillies squad was, where they were, hovering around 500, but their run differential was so bad. This year, it's been positive for most of the year, and it's like we're just waiting for that moment where the bats are going to come to life, and if it continues to be that way, and I don't know if it was just these guys hated playing for Joe Girardi so much or what it is, but if the bats continue to hit the way they've been hitting, obviously, we've said time and time again, too, you're going to have those games where you got to win it 3-2 if you want to be competitive, and they did that last night. But they absolutely massacred the Angels.
Yeah, that was
they out-hit a team for the first time all year.
Which is stunning that you're in June, and that's when you're finally
that's the first time since, like, the Oakland series opening weekend that they actually outslugged a team. And
well, what was the text I sent you of the tweet?
Oh.
Because this was great. This really encapsulates it here. This is from Leo Morgenstern. The Phillies have won more games against teams from LA, 7, than teams from the NL East, 6. Stats still true. So that's insane. That's the dumbest thing to me that we're in June and you can say that. If you bring that up to the state of California, that's like half the Phillies wins right there.
Yeah, because you had California, and that's 2 wins against the A's.
What, 1 or 2 against the Giants?
Against the Giants.
Yeah, there you go.
There's 3 more.
That is almost half your wins against just the state of California.
They just love the West Coast.
Yeah. It's like a Supreme Court case, like
the Phillies versus California. The Rob Thomson thing, like, I get he was here before Girardi, and like it was just like, wow, like they're really hiring Girardi's right-hand man to replace him. But did you hear the rumor that allegedly, and Dombrowski kind of like refuted it, but Jim Leland was in the running to be the Phillies manager?
Why?
Like when they fired Kapler. And that to me is just, why can we not let these old guys just enjoy retirement?
It's a sick obsession with this Phillies team. It's the Phillies and the Flyers that are like obsessed with this idea of
retreads.
Like, retreads and like this like weird fraternity of like, once you are in for life, and you will be called back to service, should the opportunity present itself. And you'll always have a job here too. Like, literally name it, we'll pay you $100,000 a year to just like eat popcorn.
Yep.
Like we'll do that. Bizarre. I wonder where they go now, because obviously like Thomson is not, he's not the long-term answer for this team.
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to be interesting to see where they transition from here in terms of hiring, because mid-season you're not really picking up anyone. I don't know, like, who's really out there that's just like yearning to pick it. Like, you're probably gonna have to wait to the offseason to get someone like for a long-term hire. But because who are even like interviewing mid-season that their team is gonna allow them to like leave mid-season, like an assistant somewhere or something, or like a lower guy, like.
Brittany Garoli from The Athletic put out a great, like, kind of breakdown. I'd love to have her on this show, with kind of breaking down options.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate every single one of them, and I'd rather have Rob Thomson be the manager next year than any of these guys. So these are the done it before that she listed. And this was before this guy got fired. Joe Maddon said, yes, Maddon has a job. Not anymore.
You know what's hilarious? Not to interrupt, but...
Oh, no, yeah.
You remember Joe Maddon earlier this year got a ton of heat for walking with bases loaded, and he's like, well, that's just... And, like, statistically, even Barry Bonds at his very prime, you still shouldn't walk with the... Yes. Like, you just let him play it out. It's actually hilarious, though, because I think that Bryce Harper Grand Slam, he probably could have been forgiven. Like, that was actually the moment where maybe he should have tried that.
Yeah.
Because he did that early in the season, and his motive... God bless his old brain, was that it was going to like invigorate the team. And it kind of did. And you would think in a series where you got blown out, you're the verge of like cracking and crumbling on this like massive losing streak. You're going to blow this game. That would actually be the time to be like, well, let's see what you guys are made of then.
3-2
we're going to walk this guy.
2 outs. The amount of Angels fans that quote tweeted our clip of Harper's Grand Slam was like, this is just pathetic at this point.
You know what? I feel bad for the Angels fans too, because like I said,
we're right there with you.
We're kindred spirits.
We are
the
fist me.
I get it. The preseason hopes, all of it.
The superstars,
all of it.
She talks about Joe Maddon there. And then the guy that Joe Maddon effectively replaced, Mike Scioscia, please God, no. He hasn't managed since 2018, and I just don't need Mike Scioscia being the manager of this team. Dombrowski link Brad Ausmus, who has had like little to no success as a major league manager with Detroit and with the Angels. He's currently the Oakland A's bench coach. And then goes first timers, Joe Espada, who is the the Astros bench coach. I mean, if we're pulling from the Astros,
That's my theory is like, what are the smart teams doing? Who are they employing? Hire them. That's so you know what? Fits.
She says that he was a finalist for the Mets job this offseason, who was interviewed for numerous vacant managerial positions. Espada is the glue that holds the Astros together, an organization he's been with since 2018. Ryan Flaherty, the Padres quality control coach, who is well thought of, up-and-comer, who was Showalter's top choice for bench coach this winter until San Diego declined to let him interview. He's 35 years old. He's a former player and analytical savvy to the current Rays manager Kevin Cash. So again,
The only thing that worries me about with like a younger manager is like the Phillies getting Gabe Kapler when they did made sense because the team was still like building a foundation and like nucleus. Like that team wasn't fully formed yet, so you can have a manager that can also grow with the team. I don't know that the Phillies aren't necessarily in like. Not that a young manager can't come in and make an impact like a younger manager, like less experienced can't, but like where the Phillies want to be aiming, I don't know that this is like the job for a first-time candidate. It could be, but I think that would be.
It has to be the right.
It like yes, that is like a smaller eye of the needle to thread than someone with some experience. But experience comes with obviously caveats too. Like it's not like there's no perfect candidate out there, pros and cons to either side. But that is the one thing that that would give me pause about any like new manager.
And then the other one that has a write-up, which would put the brains of every WIP and Fanatic caller into knots, is Matt Quatraro. He was a finalist for the Mets job as well. He's the Rays bench coach who got there in 2018 after being on Terry Francona's staff in Cleveland. He doesn't have any ties to Dombrowski, but he does have ties to Sam Fold being a former Tampa Bay Rays player and everything like that. She also mentions Will Venable and Ramon Vasquez from the Red Sox, who Vasquez was with Dombrowski in Boston, Tigers bench coach George Lombard, and Blue Jays bench coach John Schneider. And then she goes on to list Rob Thomson, Kevin Long, Bobby Dickerson, and Dusty Wathan as internal candidates from the Phillies.
We'll see. We'll see where they end up. It feels like it maybe internal candidate gets it to see out the year, and then the offseason is way. Because again, no one is allowing, especially for any of those like new first hires, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone is allowing any bench coach, any analysis coach to be picked off in the middle of the season. I think those are all contenders as well. Yeah. Like, no, it's just hard to see. So Thomson might see out the year, maybe so.
That's my thought.
Who knows? But it's a strange spot to be in, though, because, and this is part of the reason I didn't think they would fire him, is because how often is a team that's contending firing managers? Like, that's just not. Normally, if you're firing someone, this bears saying, normally if you're firing someone, it's because things aren't going well. Mm-hmm. But, but this team expects that they will be improving,
right,
and that they should be in the playoffs, but it's so different than many other sports because like the season is so long, but there's no clear pool of candidates to be picking from here. And if you pick the wrong one, you're literally in the same position you were just in with Girardi. What point was there then in even firing him? So yeah, it's hard for me to see this team that should be again a lot better than they are this season. It's a bizarre thing. That's why I didn't expect it to happen.
Yeah, first manager fired too this year. So if anybody placed a bet on that, well done.
I bet that gave good odds.
Oh yeah, 2 managers so far, with Girardi and Joe Maddon both fired now. But I mean, Phillies are on a 5-game win streak,
longest win streak of the season.
Which is
remember when we didn't see them win 5 games in a row for like a decade
until last year.
Remember when that happened?
We'll see if they can make it 6.
Hey, according to Baseball Reference, they got a 32.3% chance to make the postseason and a 0.4% chance to win the World Series. So
you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
1
and 3.
1 and 3.
Those are Hall of Fame numbers. You bat 1 and 3, you're good.
You're sought after in free
You're good
agency.
for life.
Nola on the mound tonight, which will be interesting to see if he gets any run support. But if you can beat up on a Brewers team, win 2 out of 3, I think that's what everybody is expecting from this series, is go in and take 2 out of 3 on the road against the Brewers. And then, as wild as it sounds, like, you have the Diamondbacks and the Marlins at home this weekend and then going into early next week.
And that's
where the traps.
If you're asking me where the hurdle is, it's right there. It's
also extended because you have a 5-game road trip in Washington.
I'm telling you right now, if we do not win 4 out of 5 against the Nationals, travesty.
And
Absolute
quite honestly,
travesty.
And that's like the bare minimum.
You can drop a game to the Nationals,
especially since one is like a doubleheader day.
But I'm telling you, 4 out of 5 against the Nationals, or it's an issue. And we're convoying. We are.
Like, you need to sweep the Diamondbacks too.
Diamondbacks are like one of those good bad teams. Like, they're clearly not a very talented team, but they're also not like, they've not folded as an institution yet, right? Like, I think the Diamondbacks, if you're playing them in like mid-August, is different than mid-June. I think
same amount of wins as the Phillies this year.
Right. Like, they're not a good team, and they're going to fall away, but you are catching them at a time where they're still like competitive.
Yeah. I like that it is at home though. And then luckily the Marlins series is at home and not in Miami, where we are just horrendous. But it's a long ass road trip too. Once the first Washington game kicks off, 5 games in Washington, off day on the 20th, 2 games down in Texas against the Rangers, and then 4 in San Diego against the Padres.
And that Padres series, by the way,
is also crucial.
Could have like massive implications when you get to the wild card. So,
and it's massive for our Supreme Court case of Philadelphia Phillies versus
like that
the state of California.
Hopefully that is not. Hopefully we don't get like just one win from that series, and that still amounts to like half of our wins.
Yes.
hopefully we they have a lot of ground to make up there, but
because the Phillies right now, they're 3.5 games out of the final wild card spot, which is held by the San Francisco Giants, which is why that series, dropping 2 out of 3 sucked so bad. But they still have a plus 19 run differential, which I think is just showing you that their offense still hasn't really sputtered as much as we think it has. And they've been hitting. And, once, as Charlie Manuel once said, once the weather gets warm, it's hitting season.
It's true.
And you just got to take care of business the rest of this month. Because, like we said, Milwaukee the next 2 days, including tonight, Arizona, Miami, Washington, Texas, San Diego, and then arguably, as we've said multiple times this year, most important series of the season, 3 at home against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, that's, the key now is like the division is really not there for the Phillies. It is about wild card. It's about beating out the Braves for second, because that obviously gives you a better shot at the wild card. Those are the key games now. I think I read that the Phillies have by like win-loss, whatever, they have one of the top 5 easiest schedules remaining, which horrifies me because that's not the first time.
Been there before.
Yes, we've heard that a lot from the Phillies. I remember when they had to win
one game,
1 out of 8 to make the playoffs.
2 out of 10 to make it, and
they couldn't. So I'm not sure that this is the team that I want having the odds in their favor. I think actually odds stacked against them works better for this Phillies team, but that is a good thing. Hopefully the schedule you're seeing lightens up a little bit. Like, you're not. I gotta tell you, May sucked.
Yes,
May was bad.
May was
a cruel month to us. I'll say that much. But yeah, no Mets series looming, which is nice. It's good to not play those losers again for a long time. And goddamn, I can't wait to play the Nationals. It's insane that we're gonna be almost, July, and we're just now playing the Nationals. That's
and you're playing a
insane to me.
playoff series against them effectively.
That's like crazy to me. I can't believe that.
And then you get 3 against the Nationals at
How
home.
do we not have like a 2-game series, a home and home? Like, how are we just now? Not even just now. In like a week and a half, playing the Nationals for that's a travesty. I can't believe that.
I feel like because there's a doubleheader in here, I feel like that was supposed to be the first series of the season.
Yeah, it was.
And then it got pushed because of the lockout.
But
Still crazy.
That's a long layoff from opening series to.
Although, for playoff implications, I don't hate it as much because you get them much later in the season, where you're getting 3 against them in July, 4 in August, and then 3 in September.
Yeah, the Patrick Corbin series.
It's gonna be great. Just keep hitting. That's all this team has to do because they proved it in that Angel series that they can out-hit teams. And for whatever reason this year, they're a second-half team. From the 6th inning on, they produce runs and try to come back. And who knew? Letting the kids play actually works.
Who knew?
Just sucks that Nick Maton is out now with that injury after making a miraculous catch on Friday night.
It is the way of Phillies young players. If there's like 3 or 4 of them, one of them has to be injured at a time. Like once one starts to return from injury or back to the lineup or whatever, someone has to go down with injury. That's
I will
just the way
say,
that
we've
works.
given him shit this season. Didi looked pretty spry running those bases last night.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough. But you know what also, outside of that.
But you know who's up now, Matt, because Nick Maton is out. Rising from the depths of the dead, Scott Kingery is back.
Unbelievable. I mean, you talk about a guy. That's it.
You want to talk about the lowest of lows.
Man, what a long, beautiful journey it's been for Scott Kingery. Remember we tied him up to a 17-year deal
Still
before
on
he...
it. It's like
Thanks.
a 7-year contract.
Thanks, Clint Deck. Thanks for that one.
Luckily, it wasn't $100 million.
Yeah, I mean it was a team-friendly deal.
$26 million for 7
It's also
years.
just an obscenely not heard of deal. It's why are we doing this? The whole point of this sport, the whole point of arbitration and all this is that the teams get to screw over the players and pay them significantly less than they're worth. And the Phillies have routinely been we don't like that actually.
Yeah.
We're giving you a lot of money. A lot.
A lot.
Some might call it a stupid amount of money.
Who knew? I mean, just keep winning. That's what's gonna keep.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Yeah, next week.
See what happens. Once we loses to the Brewers, have a terrible Diamondback series, we'll talk to you. We'll see where we're at.
Get swept by the Marlins.
That is the peaks and valleys on which we roam.
We haven't talked about it on this show, but I just wanted to bring it up, even though it is a little bit of an older story. Did you see the Joc Pederson, Tommy Pham thing?
I've seen the headlines. I didn't get in the weeds on what
it was about fantasy football.
I knew it. Yeah, I knew it was a fantasy football dispute.
Tommy
Mike Trout was involved too. I guess
They asked him about it.
He was an arbiter on the on the deal. Give me the deets.
Basically, Tommy Pham punched Joc Pederson.
Right. I knew it had escalated.
And Joc Pederson had, during one of the weeks of their fantasy football season, put a player who was out that week on his IR spot, which 99% of people do. So you can go get another player that's playing that week. And Tommy Pham felt like that was disrespectful and was messing with his money. And I guess this fantasy football league is very high stakes, very high money involved, being that they are professional athletes. And it escalated from effectively Joc Pederson going and picking up a player off the waiver wire.
Jesus. I mean, listen, if we're continuing with the Supreme Court angle, we could cite plenty of rote law about why it's okay to put a player on the IR. That's why the IR exists.
Exactly.
So, not sure what the...
It's called strategy, Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
Tommy Pham has been involved in a number of internet stories that that's what he's more known for than football.
Yeah.
Like, he was obviously involved in the viral Blake Snell clip when he got traded. When Blake Snell's like, we traded Pham for Renfro and a slapdick prospect. The amount of times Tommy Pham is mentioned for things outside of baseball is very, very funny to me.
Well, good for Tommy Pham. I bet he took it like a champ, too, so...
I think the way that people talk about fantasy football, and it's like, I saw a tweet too, it's like, this is the very first time anybody's ever cared about you talking about your fantasy football team.
Those are the times where we want to hear your fantasy football team.
Yes, we want to hear all the dirt.
When it escalates into physical violence,
Yes.
That's when I'm interested. I'm not interested in hearing you tell me about how you almost picked Derrick Henry last year or
Yes.
whatever. Like, I don't care. Or how you had Cooper Kupp last year, but this year, and I always pick Cooper Kupp, but this year I picked... I went with Robert Woods, but I don't care. Now when you tell me, yeah, my stepbrother stabbed my uncle over a trade request in fantasy football, now I'm interested.
Now I'm very interested.
We pay our fantasy football league dues with heroin. I want to hear that story. That's the story I want to hear. I don't want to hear about how your crazy aunt who picks the kicker in the first round won your league again. I don't care about that. Not interested.
Quinn Snyder, relieved
Psycho.
of his duties, basically parting ways with the Utah Jazz. Doc Rivers, you are now a Utah Jazz.
The Jazz are talk about a shaky foundation right now. That's a tough look. A lot of Gobert noise. Draft's coming up, so that's obviously a popular time.
A lot of rumors with the Sixers once again.
It is the same as I said about Ben Simmons last year. Here's my advice to the Jazz peoples. If there's not a trade done by draft night, you can expect the prospects of that person being traded to be like halved. If it doesn't happen draft night, it's like, oh, it's a little worrying. Because draft night's the 23rd, free agency starts July 1st. And once free agency starts and people start eating up their cap space, teams and executives fall in love with the signings that they made. Like, we've built this amazing roster, we're gonna be great, and then they're 31-50. Like, that's the way it works. Once draft night passes and you have that made a deal, that's when you're worried about whether or not how this is shaping up. Because it was the same with Ben Simmons last year. Once we got past draft night, I was like, and you get the free agency, like, this isn't happening for a while, is it?
Where the previous year we made 2 deals leading into draft night and on draft night, and it was like, wow, this is great.
Draft night's been a weird night for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have been mixed,
to say the least.
Mixed times on draft night. I think the Jazz, it's clearly trending towards a bust up here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to see it any other way.
We will take Donovan Mitchell off your hands.
Take Donovan Mitchell on this team. Yeah, I started this week getting more into the draft guys. There's a Matt guy being selected as we speak. Within the subconscious of my brain, I'm absorbing all of the draft knowledge that I can and watching as many highlights as I can. And we will have our guy. You're on
Vecna mode.
I'm on Vecna mode. I'm plugged in an attic somewhere. That's where I am. No spiders for me though. I don't know what the alternative is, but I'm not about that life.
It's Spite. It's Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I mean, the draft's going to be interesting, and hopefully the Warriors pull through in the finals.
I got to say, I have not been able to watch a single finals
Me
game.
either.
You know why? Because they're on at 9 goddamn o'clock.
I said the same thing.
I mean, what do we do? Listen, I know.
I get you're compensating for the West Coast.
But also, like, half the series is played on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And tonight, I think it's still 9, even though it's in Boston. It's either 8:30 or 9.
9
which
o'clock.
There's practically no difference between 8:30 and 9, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a half hour.
And
I mean, come on.
More than 50% of the population in this country lives on the East Coast.
Like, you can't give me a Saturday. Like, why is there not a Saturday night game?
I can do like a Saturday at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I can't be up till midnight on a weeknight. I just can't do it. How am I expected to do that?
It's just criminal. Everybody losing their minds too over Draymond Green doing Draymond Green things just had me laughing my ass off.
People don't learn.
I just need the Celtics to lose. I have way too many people I'm connected to with Boston fandoms, and I need them in shambles when the Warriors win and beat their beloved Boston Celtics. And I can't stand to see Al Horford get a trophy. I can't see Al Horford getting a ring. It just can't happen.
No, thank you. Just let it be done.
Steve Kerr, come through.
Come on, Steve.
Let's make this happen.
Come on, Steve. Do what's right. Do the right thing here. And I got to say it. The Jason Tatum Kobe shit is just getting weirder every day.
It's so weird.
It's getting a little exhausting.
Oh my god.
We get it.
He wasn't even wearing the same fucking shirt.
We get it. We get it. Okay? I get that this is deeply personal for you. That's fine. It's like those tweets where it's like, everything I'm learning about Jason Tatum's relationship with Kobe has been against my will. It is like, I didn't ask to be trauma dumped with all of this. I didn't ask for every time I open Twitter to see a tweet about Jason Tatum messaging Kobe. It's just weird. Mm-hmm. It's just it gives a weird feeling to me. I can't stand to see Boston win the championship. No. That'd be hard to come back from. I'll tell you that much. Golden State wins though, and it's like, wow, I'm like
great
witnessing history. One of the best teams ever. Sixers will never be in this spot, will they?
You know who I do enjoy watching play basketball though? When I watch the highlights, Jordan Poole is a very fun basketball player.
Jordan Poole's a very fun basketball player. He's had a great season.
Who you pick up? Go to playpickup.com. You can play all the NBA Finals headlines over there. Rack up points on your fan profiles. Cash them in for prizes. Matt, for Game 3, who do you got winning at these midnight tip-offs?
Jesus, yeah. I'm gonna go Golden State. They showed a lot in that second game. Again, wasn't able to watch it live. Yeah. Thank you, the media conglomerates, big media.
Thanks, Dave.
Big sports media not allowing the East Coasters to participate in live viewing. I feel like Golden State is probably the better team in this series. I still think Steph Curry, every time he steps on the floor, is probably the best player on the floor. And I think they figured some things out in Game 2. And I would love nothing more than to see them take a 2-1 series lead. But that's me wish casting.
Especially since they're in Boston tonight.
Be nice. I keep hearing all this stuff about like Boston crowd. It's like, come on. It's good. It's a good crowd. But
it's not elite.
I think people in general give a lot more credence to crowds than they should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's very obviously like home court advantage is a thing, but I think people kind of upsell the idea of how hard it is. Like, it's definitely challenging. There's a reason it exists, but I think people upsell it sometimes.
Yes.
Every fan thinks that their team has the best home court advantage too, which is just... And these things, like the finals, you're getting like dudes who are just there to take their like tech bros and their CEO friends and their lawyer friends and their snotty kids. Like, you're not getting
actual
real
fans. Yeah.
Like, these tickets are like $800 a piece to get in the door. You're not. They're not sending their meanest and cruelest and loudest.
Yeah. So go to playpickup.com. Start playing those NBA Finals headlines in every sport across the board at playpickup.com. I brought this up on the last episode that I recorded the other day, Matt. I didn't know if you had seen it. Did you see DeSean Jackson on the I Am Athlete podcast talking about Donovan McNabb?
Uh-oh. I have not.
This story, it's just living rent-free in my head because I think it's fascinating. Basically, when DeSean Jackson was voted to the Pro Bowl, this was, I think, 2010, as the first player ever to be a starter at two positions, McNabb told Michael Vick, when they were on the same team that he didn't think DeSean Jackson deserved that, like, being the first. And LaShawn McCoy is in the room here too.
I got a special story. Like Donovan, we cool, no beef, none of that. I'm not trying to clickbait on the shit him and T.O. got, but
Yeah,
I remember.
but can you relate to T.O.?
Yeah, he can.
I don't want to talk about that. I'm telling about a
okay.
situation that I got. I don't speak for no other man with another man's situation. Whatever they issues is, they issues. My problem was, so Michael Vick was there. This the year when Michael Vick came in and he was about to replace him.
Doing Wildcat stuff. He's only doing Wildcat stuff.
But the year after that is when they shipped. They trade him to Washington.
Yep.
So that year, that's when I made it for Pro Bowl. The first player in NFL history to make Pro Bowl
Watch
for two
this story.
positions.
Watch this.
2 positions. First player in NFL history
crazy.
to make Pro Bowl for 2
Okay,
positions.
okay, Jack.
You get what I'm saying? So when the ballots came out,
He just threw that in
Hey,
there.
teammates, listen to this story though.
when the ballots came out and they found out that I was the first player in NFL history to get elected to start in the Pro Bowl for 2 positions, my starting quarterback tells Michael Vick, like damn, I don't think he should have. I don't think he should have got that. He shouldn't have deserved that. Like you telling another quarterback that your receiver,
As a
that
receiver,
you throw to your receiver,
Sean
that
McCoy's
you
such
throw
an
to, that he
instigator.
deserved that.
Right.
Yeah, that was crazy, bro.
Did you ever?
I ain't never said nothing to him about it.
And he made you
Never.
buy the tickets for the
For
party.
what?
He made you buy the tickets for his party.
Yeah, you
You
feel
need
me?
two? Yeah, that's gonna cost him $25.
all-white party.
All-white party.
Who had an all-white party?
McNabb.
See, he was one of the most cheapest, richest motherfuckers you could know. Well, he make you pay for everything.
Yeah.
I remember Hank Baskett, another little story. Hank Baskett, we had the
Hank
all-white
Baskett.
party. You remember Hank Baskett? We had the all-white party. I'm a rookie.
Like that,
You know how you
everyone
got
just
the little
goes,
hate.
Hank
He's like,
Baskett.
yeah, we at the party. We about to go. You about to buy some bottles. I looked at him and said, I'm not buying no bottles for you. I know I'm a young street L.A. I'm not buying shit. You gotta go buy your own bottle.
Right.
I ain't no rookie hazing. I ain't had to do nothing. I ain't had no rookie.
That's hilarious.
The line of he's one of the cheapest rich motherfuckers I ever met in my life.
Hey, you know what?
Just
Fair enough.
just more knocks on number 5.
Tough. You hate to see it.
Tough scene. That's the stuff I love though from DeSean Jackson. Like he's a guy that like he was very like out there when he was in his career, but now he's telling these stories on shows and stuff, and that's what I love about when players are like retiring or near retirement and they're just like letting it all sling. And the fact that LaShawn McCoy was there too.
Well, LaShawn, he's such an instigator. Watch this story.
And he made you pay to get in the party too.
He's such an instigator.
Although Survivor season 42 has come to an end, we got to wait for the fall for season 43. Some past castaways, Matt, are competing on the challenge this season, which I don't think I've ever watched the challenge.
Is this like MTV's The Challenge?
Yeah, which will now be on
Paramount.
Wednesdays, July 6th on CBS.
I'm going to check it out. The Challenge was like, when I was younger, all the time, plugged in. Because it used to be Real World Road Rules, The Challenge.
Yeah.
Because they had, it was kind of like Survivor in a way, but like All-Stars, because they would pick like the most interesting people from Real World and Road Rules and have them go on The Challenge, which was similar to Survivor, if anyone's never seen the show. And it changed like season to season. They did different things. Sometimes it was purely individual game. Sometimes you'd have a teammate. Like one season they would do, you know, because over the course of time, people would obviously build up some rivalries and stuff. And you would match up with like someone that you had beef with in a previous season. And what was cool about that too is everyone would get together and vote. Mm-hmm. But you got voted. You didn't get voted off. You had to vote and compete in like on a final challenge and like earn your spot to stay in, which was pretty cool. It was a good show. It doesn't have maybe all that Survivor does. They get to stay in like a cool, dope house, like it's Real World usually, and have tons of food. You know, there's no like starvation element. There's definitely a little bit more of like the reality TV show stuff. But as far as like the challenges and stuff go, they were not afraid to let it get physical either. A lot of times.
Because it will be people from the show The Villa, The Amazing Race, Survivor, and Big Brother.
Okay, so they're like, now they're like just blending all of the shows
So
together.
from our sector of the reality TV scape, Shan,
Okay.
Danny,
Okay.
we've got Sarah, Tyson.
Oh no, I'm watching. Now I'm in. I'm in.
We've got Tasha. Dominic, who I don't remember.
He was on Wendell's season. He was the
Okay.
one that almost won with Wendell. They were both like very like neck and neck, very very good together. They were like in an alliance.
Desi from season 35.
Vaguely remember.
Ben,
Okay, wow.
and that is our Survivor crew.
Wow, that's fascinating. I
As soon as I saw Tyson
I
and
heard
Ben.
nothing about this until
Yeah, I saw it. Like they announced it like today that these were going to be on this season, July 6th. So maybe we'll be talking about the challenge this summer. But as soon as I saw Tyson and Ben, I was like, okay, I'm in.
I'm trying to see who the host is.
It's called the Challenge USA.
Because who was it? Yeah, it's still TJ Lavin, isn't it? And man, he was awesome. He's such an awesome host. He's so good. What's crazy too? Yeah, since like
Yep.
2005, he's like Jeff Probst in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his first one was Real World Road Rules Challenge, The Gauntlet 2, and then Fresh Meat. God, they had some rough ones. They had some rough ones. One of the final challenges they did, I'll never forget. This was one of the most insane ones I've ever seen. Because you get to like the final 3 usually, and like the big thing too as the season's gone on is they would like take them to like Europe or something or like South America. Like they'd do something crazy. They'd go to like some awesome location, but they would have these like grueling challenges. This one, they had to like canoe down a river like an insane amount of miles, like just an insane amount, and then hike up a mountain. Then they got to this like cabin where they had like a feast. Mind you, they haven't eaten like at all. They've been like, but you had to eat every single piece of food that was like between you and your partner had to eat every single piece of food that was on the table. So you're obviously like now you're like just sick from throwing up. Then you have to hike all the way up the mountain. Then you both slept overnight. One person had to stay standing on this rock. And then while the other person slept, if the person standing on the rock stepped off the rock at any point, they had to go wake the other person up. The other person had to go stay on the rock so they could sleep.
Jesus.
And then the challenge is still going.
Yeah.
The next day, they all get woken up at the same time. They all get like to the top of the mountain, and they have like these alarm systems, these radio systems that they use, I guess, in like cases of avalanche to like locate people. And they had buried these alarm systems in these like rocks that they had to like crawl around and try and like locate these boxes and then get to the top and like unlock a puzzle or something. Like just the craziest shit. I mean, like just the most insane stuff. That challenge always stuck out to me. I was like, that's the craziest
That's
thing.
nuts.
That's just beyond. And these are like, again, it's like Survivor, like pretty like they're like younger,
Right.
The crowd is normally younger, so they're normally in good shape and stuff. But it's like that's Navy SEALs training. Like,
But I saw Tyson and I said, all right.
love Tyson.
He's coming out of
one
pickleball
of my
season
favorite
to-
survivors ever.
to come play the challenge. Pretty solid crew. I mean, it's
That is
a
a good
nice
crew.
little mix of, some OGs. Like Tyson's been on, a bunch of like all-star seasons. He was on season 40, and then you got some new people as well. I'm intrigued. Plus, I really love Ben. I think
Ben's
he's one of the better
Ben's good TV too.
survivors that we've
I
had.
think
in a
everyone
while.
that they've brought back is good. Like
Yeah, and I think
how the challenges TJ Lavin became Drake's favorite reality TV host.
how Drake has become a mainstay this week on
He's-
all of our shows.
He's the kingmaker on
Drake was brought up, ironically, on Top Bins last night, on Get in the Hole this week, and now on this show.
Oh, they had All Stars last season. I'm gonna have to watch that because one of the competitors they have in this was Wes, who was in the challenge that I just described.
Okay.
And it's crazy. They had all these. I'm gonna get too into the lore of the challenge as I remember it because I also watched it younger, so I don't know how well I actually remember it. But it was Wes, CT, and Johnny Bananas who were like
I know Johnny.
Yeah, and Johnny Bennett has become like one of the absolute faces from it. You know what's crazy? Mike the Miz was originally a Real World guy.
Okay.
And then was on the challenge, he was like a popular character, and then is now like a
WWE
professional wrestler. Like, and
Insane.
the Miz started on like this. Like, this is where he came
nuts.
from. There's a comedian who started, and I remember him from the challenge as well. Ah, God, I can't remember his name. It's bugging the hell out of me. Theo Von was also in the challenge. I remember him. There's a guy one season, I think his name was Evan. He was competing while he had a hernia.
Jesus.
Like, you could see it while he was competing. You could see the lump, which, again, is your intestines breaking through into your stomach wall.
God.
And they made him. He was still winning challenges too.
That's
like, he was still
nuts.
dumb. And then like he eventually like just couldn't physically cope anymore with the pain. And they're like, yeah, you gotta go. Sorry.
So just when they thought we could stop covering Survivor for the summer, they give us some of our favorite castaways to watch in the Challenge USA, which I guess is just CBS bringing it to the main channel from MTV. Because I don't know if the Challenge has ever been on CBS itself. But
It was an MTV show because it was all
I remember
like,
it being MTV.
it was like both of the Road Rules was like a really cool. I don't know whatever happened to it. That was a cooler thing to me than Real World because like they were traveling around in this RV and had to like do all these little things along the way. I always thought it was a more interesting idea to me than Real World personally, but I could see the appeal of both.
That had a long run.
It did, yeah.
95 to 2007.
Like, that's, I don't know. I think that's good TV. Start throwing people in RVs again. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, why
that's
not?
like a thing now anyway, where it's like a bunch of young people are like just getting Sprinter vans and travel the country. Just do it again. Just get a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
Get two. Make it like Amazing Race weird. There you go. There's your idea.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Paramount.
Easy.
So maybe we'll be watching the Challenge USA to support some of our favorite survivors and talking about it on the show this summer. And I mean, if TJ wants to come on the show,
Love to talk with
love
TJ.
to have TJ Lavin. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials, though, at Underground PHI on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Matt probably saw it when he walked into the studio. We've got the Underground Bino League getting set up and starting to bring that to the YouTube channel. Shout out to Bino. Use our code BINOUSP for 10% off at binoboard.com. The YouTube channel is going to have a ton of fun content this summer, as well as full video episodes of all your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows. So go to YouTube, search Underground Sports Philadelphia, subscribe, hit the like button, click the bell icon, and all that good stuff so you don't miss a single video we put out. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland, and of course Tomahawk Shades, Kenwood Beer, Bino Board, and Pickup. All their information is linked in the podcast notes and the YouTube video description. Use our codes to help support our sponsors and support us. And that's all we got for you guys tonight. And of course, you can watch every Wednesday night show live on twitch.tv/undergroundsportsphi. So hit the like button over there as well. But this has been episode number 436 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. For Matt, I'm KB. Till next time, we're getting the heck out of here. Peace.